Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of swallowed. So let's start. So many people. So many ships. Luofeng and the others were shocked at this scene. This was a huge hall with a diameter exceeding 30,000 kilometers and was able to hold billions of soldiers. There's at least a few million people here, right? Definitely. There are a few thousand ships lining up ahead. The many ships lined up in order to stop within the hall. Some of these ships were over 1,000 meter in diameter, and some with a few hundred meters in diameter. The soldiers differed too. Some could hold up to 1 million soldiers, while some only held a few. Don't stand there stupidly, get on the ship. Captain Taiwo ordered, swiftly releasing a disc-shaped ship with a 100-meter diameter from his world ring. It appeared within the hall. Yes. Coming. Taiwo first entered the ship, followed by the 9 sector Lord Generals Mad Wu, God, Poison, Rock, and Madman. The material here is E9 alloy. Luofeng gazed at the ship. Carefully examining the engravings on its surface, it's actually the most basic lore engravings. Taiwo is after all an undying, and he's one that has lived very long in the outer region wars. It shouldn't be too hard for him to get a better ship. Luofeng didn't think more about it, quickly boarding the ship. Hua, the cabin door closed. A blur of ships stopped within the hall, after which they all flew forward through the same pathway. Luofeng and the others had just entered the ship before Taiwo, who walked ahead of them, shouted, "To the resting quarters." "Not the control room?" Luofeng laughed and asked. "It's an AI-controlled ship after all, he can give us orders both from the resting quarters and the control room." Mad Wu smiled beside him. He was a handsome purple-haired youth, who seemed very friendly. He was the one Luofeng had gotten most close to on the ship, and there was one more reason. The two of them were both spirit readers, and their appearances were closest. After all, there were many types of humans in the universe with all sorts of appearances, but the two of them happened to look alike. After a while, they arrived in the resting quarters. It was about 20 m in length and width and was also 10 m tall, for a total of 400 square meters in space. The 10 sector lords had enough space within. Arriving in our safety nest, I naturally feel more comfortable. Poison jumped and landed in the sofa, rolling about in it. Safety nest? Rock looked about and asked curiously, "The material of this wall within here seems to be F9 metal tungsten mother rock." Luofeng said softly. "F9 metal?" Rock looked shocked at Luofeng. "Right." The always smiling white-armored god smiled. "The resting quarters is the safest place in the ship. The ship's main material is E9 alloy. However, in the battlefield, it cannot withstand some terrifying attacks, hence the captain ordered a completely tungsten mother rock resting room. This is our safety nest. If we encounter any danger, at the least we will have some time to react." Luofeng nodded. It was a smart decision. Since they were not able to afford an F-grade ship, it was better to simply make one room that's strong. "I can afford one room. However, if it's the entire ship, I cannot," the captain said, ordering external simulation 100%. Even though Luofeng was sitting in the sofa, he couldn't see it visibly. The ground vanished below him and all he could see was the vast hall outside with the other ships around them. As time passed, the ship swiftly flew through the pathway and very quickly, it was their turn to fly through. Following the pathway, they flew straight for a few hundreds of thousands of kilometers before turning and flying along an arc. All the ships followed the same path. After a while, rumble. The straight pathway, which was hundreds of thousands of kilometers long, began to close off its entrance. Simultaneously, the outermost door of the entire base began to open. Although there were over 10,000 pathways there, only a few hundred opened. "Activate energy barrier. Depart," the captain ordered. Luofeng and the others sat in the ship and left through a pathway from the base. Hua. All the sector lords turned to look back at the huge soldier base as they flew through the door. Even the ones that had been through this countless times still looked back, and Luofeng with his high perspectives and vision, did the same. It was because it was simply too majestic. "That is the soldier base," Luofeng said, shocked. Through the external simulator, he clearly saw the huge base floating in space. The entire base, from what Luofeng estimated, was at least a few million kilometers in diameter. This was a base which was even larger than the sun. The base was completely covered in a colorful energy barrier, a barrier that covered a base that huge. It was absurd. If one went up close to see the sun, how shocking would that be? What's more, they were looking up close at this malevolent base. Colorful energy barrier, mysterious powerful lore engravings, automaton cannons with diameters of a few 100 kilometer, blur pathways, countless energy points. This was a war machine that had been upgraded to the point of perfection. It's too majestic. Taiwo exclaimed. Look at that cannon. Normal universe ships use energy laser beams. However, the God base uses the very backdated huge cannon hull. It may seem backdated, but when it truly unleashes its power, that terrifying scene, it would reduce everything in its path to nothing. The white armored god's eyes gleamed with passion. The new recruit Rock was completely stunned. Even having seen a lot before, Luo Feng was still stunned. God base, what grade of a god base is this? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. AAA grade. Poison's eyes were fixed on it too. He said softly, the Outer Region Wars is a battle between the races. The entire 7th battlefield only has these 100 bases, and these are the bases of humanity. Naturally they made sure that it was of the highest grade. Even the universe country leaders, that level of warriors wouldn't be able to destroy this base. Luo Feng nodded. He had checked on the automaton's terrifying weapons before. Some huge weapons were very expensive, like the space fortress. It was still absurdly expensive, and that was just one fortress. The God base was still the pinnacle level of huge weapons. Every one of them were much more expensive than a fortress. And among the God bases, the AAA grade was the highest grade of them all. At least from what he knew. Within the automaton nests, there may even be more terrifying things. It was safest within the base. Every base was made at AAA grade. Even with trillions of warriors rushing it, it could still instantly reduce everything to nothing. The base serves as the harbor for the soldiers. Poison lay on his sofa and lifted a wine bottle. It's the safest there. You don't even have to worry about anything. However, the moment you leave it, danger lurks all around us. After all, this entire region of over 1 million light-years in diameter is a battlefield. Luo Feng kept looking outside. With a glance. With his vision, one had to know that he could fly close to light speed and still easily dodge items around him. Even though this ship was reaching sub-light speed, he could still clearly see the scene outside. He saw a few broken bug bodies, ship remains, human remains, etc., all floating in space. Some were simply knocked aside by the ship. Are some of the remains and corpses valuable? The new recruit Rock frowned and asked. No one is an idiot. The Mother Flame Race Hammer said with a low voice. The ship's scanning system has long scanned through everything. Those floating around in space aren't worth anything. If they were, they would have been taken away. Those that haven't, may simply be traps. Rock, if you haven't noticed, our ship hasn't been flying in a straight line, but dodging all the remains, the huge ship remains. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. It was indeed so. Those places may very likely have enemies hiding within. You have to know, the entire starfield, excluding the bases, are battlefields. Hammer said seriously. Don't think that we all look very relaxed right now. Every one of us is prepared to battle at any moment. All right, don't scare the new recruits. Captain Taiwo smiled. Our destination this time is about 80,000 light-years from the 26th base. It's extremely brutal over there. A squad like ours normally does guerrilla tactics. In a while, when we reach an open area that doesn't have rubbish or remains, we will begin universe travel. It's usually safe once we go to the dark universe. We'll be able to rest well, and we'll travel for another 3 days. We can rest till then. Once we reach the destination, it'll be a bloodthirsty battle. Luo Feng nodded. The universe secret regions weren't like the normal space. There were large amounts of rubbish and dust about, hence one had to specially clear a spot of space to be able to accelerate to light speed. There were over 100 million such spots in the 7th battlefield. Rumble. Rumble. The universe ship dodged the dangerous regions as much as it could, reaching the clear spot after a while. However, just from that short distance, Luo Feng had seen the aftermath of many large energy explosions about, and the other sector lord generals were all on high alert because they knew a battle could occur at any time. Entering Dark Universe, everybody can relax now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, universe travel. After flying in the Dark Universe for 3 days, they went through universe travel again. Be on alert, don't get careless. Within the resting room, Taiwo ordered, pointing to a space outside which had no remains obstructing it. From this clear spot of space to our destination, we have to fly for 2 months, and within these 2 months, we'll be flying in dangerous spots. Battles could erupt at any moment. We know, Captain. Poison lifted his wine bottle and smiled. Among the 7 old soldiers, even the newest of us have been here for over 8,000 years. Even when we are drunk, we are still on high alert. It's already become part of our subconscious. If you have to say it, you just have to let the new recruits know. Don't drag us down. The white bony way hugging the cat said coldly. It won't be considered dragging. Poison looked at the 2 of them. Older soldiers all started from scratch as well. Rock, Madman, you 2 better remember all the experiences we shared with you. Don't look down on these, they were formed from countless life or death battles. Understood. Rock nodded. Luofeng nodded too. Luofeng had learned much from the 7 old soldiers. Firstly, Poison was the highest ranking among them. Even Taiwo was very courteous to him. Normally Poison would occasionally reprimand the others, and they all wouldn't complain about it. This was a natural authority formed from countless battles. Actually, back when Taiwo had come to ask the 2 of them to join their team, Poison was the first to run over. One could already feel some of the problems. Rock, Madman, be on alert. If a battle occurs, Captain Taiwo ordered, we do not need you 2 to fight well with us, just be of some sort of assistance. If you see any of the others in danger, go and help them. In the beginning, we will rely on the 7 old soldiers for strength. The ship flew at sub-light speed, carefully making progress within the space, dodging any space that could hide other enemies. Within a broken universe ship's control room, there were 3 automaton clansmen gathered within. These 3 were completely made of metal. They looked very similar. From a glance, it looked like 3 robots were all sitting in alloy chairs. Ha ha, with the 3 of us together, we destroyed that Undying's team. He should be an official level Undying, right? One of them smiled and said, Pilati, you did good work back there. You heavily injured the Undying, and it allowed us to kill the other sector lords, and later ganged up to kill the Undying. He was indeed an official. He had lots of wealth. Pilati, we better distribute the goods. After which, the 2 automaton clansmen looked at the 3rd one. This 3rd automaton clansman called Pilati wore a dark red armor. He looked beautiful. He looked on calmly at the other 2. With a flip of his hand, 2 space rings appeared and he tossed it to them. Our temporary alliance ends here. You 2 can go. He said coldly. The 2 automaton clansmen smiled and received their space rings, swiftly checking them. As they checked, their eyes immediately erupted with rage. Pilati! Pilati! They were both suppressing their rage. Still not leaving? He looked on coldly at them. We worked together, and you got the benefit from killing that official level Undying already. As for the spoils, you actually dare to take 95% of it. The dark green armored clansman roared, the other silver armored clansman raged too. You are going overboard. Pilati looked coldly at both of them. The 2 fought hard to suppress their rage. We don't ask for much, just split 40% between the 2 of us. You'll get 60% and we'll each get 20%. The dark green armored clansman said. Beside him the other one nodded in approval. Get lost. Pilati roared fiercely, without me, do you think you can deal with the official level Undying? Even though he had just become an official, he already had an Undying body. To kill him, you all think it was that easy. Do you know how much it cost me? You still want to split the spoils with me? On account that you are from my race, I gave you part of the spoils. If there wasn't a punishment for killing within our race, I would have killed you 2 long ago. The other 2 glanced at each other and gritted their teeth. We hope you live a little longer. The 2 automaton clansmen instantly became beams of light and left the broken remains of the control room. 2 idiots. Pilati snorted coldly, and his eyes flashing with brutality. Even though he seemed like a metal person, he was still a life form. Even though his body was sturdy, it was still flexible. I lost quite a bit this time, however, to actually kill an official level Undying, my contribution points were enough compensation. Including the spoils itself, it's not bad. However, the army I own has suffered huge losses. It's time to return to the god base to replenish and repair my strength. He pondered. Every automaton clansman could be called an empire themselves. Of course, the strength of an automaton empire was its controlling ability and its wealth level. Both were crucial. If one had a huge army, but simply relying on its AI battle abilities wouldn't do. They had to use the Automaton clansmen to control the army, allowing the army to use lore-infused attacks with precise combinations. That way, it could raise their strength by tens to hundreds of times. The Automaton race were living eyes. And living eyes, the moment they knew the laws, combined with their natural absurd calculation and commanding abilities, it was terrifying. Combined with the Automaton weapons, their strength was terrifying. It was a pinnacle race as terrifying as the Bug clan. The Bug Queen had natural battle instincts. The Automaton race was even more technical and knowledgeable and were very scheming. There's a human ship? Sitting in the control room, Pilates' eyes gleamed. An E9 grade alloy ship, low-level engravings on surface, looks like a normal Sector Lord team ship. However, there's a possibility of it being an elite Sector Lord ship. However, as long as it's within my abilities, I can settle it. After this, I can head back to replenish my strength. Pilates smiled. Pitiful humans, you can try in vain to detect my location. HMPH, in terms of technological abilities, compared to our Automaton race, you are just average. Remains could be easily seen everywhere, be it corpses or ships or weapons. The vein lines of a seemingly normal floating piece of metal began to give off terrifying energy, storing energy, and gradually, a translucent light ball could be seen. Attack! In the distance, Pilates ordered. Rumble! A blinding pillar of light instantly tore through space, rushing at the disc-shaped ship flying. It instantly hit and part of the ship melted. The powerful pillar of light tore through the thick E9 grade alloy ship's body, causing it to explode into a fireball. Rumble! Ripples shot out in all directions, spreading over tens of thousands of kilometers, causing large amounts of debris and remains to be knocked far away. Within the ship. I dare to bet Madman would get more contribution points. I bet on Rock, look at him, such a calm fellow. Ha, this time, he will definitely get more contribution points than Madman. I bet one mixed element on Rock. You really dare to bet? I bet on Madman, I too bet one mixed element. I bet on Rock. Madman. The old sector soldiers were all gathered around setting their bets. Because, each time they came out to battle, it would go on for quite a few years, and sometimes up to thousands of years. Hence they naturally gambled on which of the two new recruits would do better. Poison led this gamble. They swiftly made their bets. You two aren't betting? If you do, I'll accept it too. Poison said as he squatted in his sofa. Rock grinned. Luophone laughed too. Warning, imminent. An ear-piercing alarm rang throughout the resting quarters, causing the chatting soldiers to instantly change their expressions. Almost simultaneously, every one of them had swiftly retrieved their weapons. Rumble. The moment the alarm rang, the entire ship shook fiercely, the resting quarters was shaking violently too. The outer layer of the ship was completely blown apart, and this completely F9 grade resting quarters was kicked about like a can. Under the powerful impact it spun madly in space. The entire room kept spinning. All the members in there all felt uncomfortable. Rumble. Taiwo instantly released his powerful undying energy and covered the entire room. Everybody out. Taiwo ordered. Rumble. The cabin doors opened simultaneously within. Go. Poison ordered. Armor instantly covered his body and he revealed only his eyes. Beside him, the Mother Flame Race Hammer carried a large hammer and shield. The two simultaneously flew out of a door. The others flew out of the other doors. The old soldiers all swiftly headed out. Luophone carried the Nanshan armament and followed. They flew out of the resting room and into the space where ripples from the explosion before were still reverberating. Luophone gazed about and saw the remains of the ship that had just exploded, not seeing any enemy. Be careful everybody. Captain Taiwo communicated, simultaneously keeping the resting room in his world ring. He didn't care much about the ship being destroyed. After all, the most valuable place within was the completely intact F9 metal tungsten Mother Rock resting room. Where's the enemy? Rock's eyes gleamed and he looked about. New recruit, don't get anxious. Just be vigilant, but leave everything else to us. Demon Lady smiled. The other old soldiers all smiled as they looked around carefully. They had experienced too many such incidents. Even in the face of danger, they were completely calm and composed. Since they are not showing themselves, let's go. Taiwo suddenly flew in a direction. The other 9 followed him and swiftly tore through space and fled. Rumble. 9 spots from the distance shot out a glaring thunderbolt, and all of them were converging around Luophone and his group. Even a powerful undying wouldn't be able to reach light speed in an instant in the actual universe. However, thunder and light etc., the moment it was unleashed it was light speed. Luophone and the others however required a certain amount of time to accelerate to close to light speed. As for the ships, it required even more time to do so. Hence as the 9 points shot out its light beams, it quickly joined together, forming a huge thunder cage. The huge cage completely surrounded Luophone and his little group. The instant it formed, countless thunder snakes tore through space and wrapped about the over 100 million kilometer in diameter cage. Without a doubt, Luophone and his group of 10 were attacked by them. Thunder hell. It's thunder hell. The old soldiers seemed shocked. Let's go, this is the work of the automaton race, and a powerful one at that. It's very troublesome. Taiwo ordered. Immediately, he led the way and the others followed him. Luophone and Rock however were curious. Why flee? This thunder hell was no threat at all. If the lightning bolts attack us, it can instantly kill a sector lord. However, the cage it formed and its lightning snakes have spread over 100 million kilometer in diameter. It probably wouldn't even be able to kill a sector lord or two, there's no threat right, dot. The new recruit Rock asked. What's terrifying about the thunder hell? Luophone asked as they fled too. Being able to multitask was a very normal thing, chatting while fleeing was normal. New recruit, you'll see in a while, we are definitely in trouble. This thunder hell, it's not something a normal automaton clansman can set up. Poison's expression was serious. Luophone nodded. His perspectives were extremely high, easily seeing that this thunder hell was able to spread over 100 million kilometer in diameter. For it to reach so far, the amount of equipment usage would easily range in the millions of mixed elements. And the automaton race was proficient in this, hence their costs may be lower. However, it would still probably exceed hundreds of thousands of mixed elements. This was definitely something not any ordinary automaton sector lord could afford. As for its energy usage, it wasn't too shocking. As the thunder snakes could keep revolving about the cage, if there wasn't anyone in the cage, they could keep doing so, creating an energy loop, making its usage close to zero. Energy loop, it was like the God base. The energy barrier of the huge base was able to withstand even attacks of a night. The colorful barrier was maintained throughout, as long as it wasn't attacked, it would have no energy usage at all. As Luophone and his team fled, suddenly, rumble! A blur of light dots shot out from the 9 spots in the thunder cage. These dots swiftly shot towards the group to surround them, forcing them to slow down as a large number of dots shot at them. It's automaton puppets. Luophone easily saw through them. They seemed like light dots from far, however on careful examination, one could tell. They were silver robots that were 12 m tall. They carried a thick alloy blade on their backs and their surface body had thunder snakes wrapped about. Countless thunder snakes within the hell didn't have any effect on them whatsoever. It's thunder automaton puppets. Taiwo emphasized. We are in trouble, thunder hell and thunder puppet army. This is a common combination in the automaton race, however it is still terrifying. Normally only undyings have this level of equipment. The 9 members all listened to his orders. Luophone began to feel his own weakness. He was very familiar with battle tactics within humanity itself. However, the other races and their strategies, even though he had researched a lot about it through the virtual universe network, the explanations were too ambiguous. Like the automaton race, the sites had said they were living AIS and every one of them represented an automaton empire. Using their own resources, great control, combination, and tactics, they could form a terrifying attack. Everybody listen. Follow me, we'll break through with the greatest speed, we have to get out of the thunder hell. Taiwo ordered. Yes? The 9 listened. The team immediately flew at shocking speed. As the cage was simply too huge, their little team had to fight hard just to get around the thunder puppet army. Within the broken ship's control room, the automaton Pilati smiled, trying to escape. Army 6, Formation CI9, engage. These puppets have lower flexibility, they shouldn't be able to catch us. Luophone dodged the thunder puppets and continued to flee. The closest puppet army suddenly absorbed a large amount of the thunder snakes. Over 100,000 thunder puppets seemed to form an electric circuit, as countless snakes were flowing through them, of which 21 of the puppets suddenly produced glaring thunder balls. Rumble. 21 thunder balls, they all formed a special engraving, almost like a thunder fishing net. The fishing net shot out at light speed. As it got close to Luophone and his team, The powerful binding slowed down and covered the team. The powerful pressure was trapping the team. It was actually infused with space laws. This made Luo Feng shocked. Taiwo howled, unleashing his undying energy and law domain. Countless yellow light dots spread throughout tens of thousands of kilometers. Every one of them were extremely heavy, smashing against the huge thunder cage. His undying energy swiftly attacked. Break open. The Mother Flame Race Hammer used a huge hammer to hit the fishing net. Break. The Sector Lord Mad Wu controlled his spirit energy weapon, one of the 9 god weapons for spirit readers, the god-tearing armament. It instantly formed a glaring light wheel and slashed madly at the net. Tear open. The white-robed Sector Lord God had a drizzle of light beams float about him, causing the space to warp and tear open. The 9 members all unleashed their attacks. Luo Feng used his Nanshan armament too. The thunder fishing net didn't really attack them, but it trapped them there. And from the distance, one of the 9 puppet armies had already caught up. Rumble. Captain Taiwo howled, and he finally broke a tens of kilometer wide hole in the net. At the same time, the entire fishing net instantly crumbled. Rumble, the originally unstable net crumbled, the powerful lightning energy exploded open, instantly tearing through the surrounding space. The powerful ripples hit Luo Feng's little team too. Captain Taiwo however blocked them. Captain. Rock looked worried at the captain. I'm fine, he said softly. All of you, looks like this will be troublesome. The puppet army has already surrounded us, looks like we won't be able to avoid this fight. Why flee, since we are heading to a place to fight anyway, might as well start the fight from here. Poison licked his lips, his eyes gleaming. Hammer nodded. The other members' eyes all gleamed with fighting spirit. Demon Lady, Wei, you two be more careful. Taiwo ordered. We can protect ourselves, killing the enemy however will be hard. Against the automaton race, our illusions have no effect at all. The skinny Wei communicated back. Every illusionist knew how to control spirit weapons too, only thing was that they were more proficient in illusions, but not so much at using the weapons themselves. The space swiftly recovered. And 3 teams of puppets had already surrounded the little team. Every army had over 100,000 puppets. With a glance, they had the team completely surrounded. In the distance, 6 other teams were rushing over at sub-light speed. It would take only a few seconds for them to be completely blocked off. I wonder how the team will deal with this. Luo Feng was very calm. The automaton puppet army, as long as he took out his undying star-eating plant, with its regenerative abilities and ability to grow over 1,000,000 kilometers, it could wrap all of them instantly. Within the distant broken ship's control room. The trap is set, time to collect. Pilati said softly in his alloy chair. 1 undying and 9 sector lords. I'll at most lose 27% of the puppets before I am able to win. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.